Kia ora, here are the next two questions from today's worksheet. Both of these are merit questions. In the first one, we've got V and W, which are complex numbers, quite simple ones, and then we have to find the real numbers P and Q that will give us this result here. You should be looking at this and straight away seeing that this is going to end up being some simultaneous equations. We're going to have one equation for the real part and one equation for the imaginary part. P times 3 minus 7i plus Q times negative 4 plus 6i is equal to, now I'm going to write that 6.5 is 13 over 2 minus 11i. Now I'm going to expand and I'm going to get this minus 4q plus 6qi is equal to 13 over 2 minus 11i. Right, let's take out the real part. So we get 3p minus 4q is equal to 13 over 2. Cleaning that up gives me 6p minus 8q equals 13. For the imaginary part, we get negative 7p plus 6q is equal to negative 11. I'm going to write that one underneath this one, and then I'm going to solve simultaneously. So you can chuck these into your calculator, but I'm just going to remind you how to do this by hand, because for the A-level exam, you can't chuck them into your calculator. So 6p minus 8q equals 13. This one, I'm going to times that first one by 3, and I'm going to times the second one by 4. And I'm doing that because I've chosen to match up those two coefficients. So let's have a look at what we get. Right, 18p minus 24q is equal to 3 13s are 39. Timesing this one by 4, be careful not to do it by 3, we get negative 28p plus 24q is equal to negative 44. Now I'm going to add them together, add 1 and 2 together, and we get negative 10p equals negative 5, giving me p is equal to 0.5. I take this and I sub it back in. Where am I going to put it in? Let's see, I'll put it into this one here. I need to solve for q. So half of 6, 3 minus 8q equals 13. 8q is equal to 10. Right, washing this to here and this to here. Is that right? That's not right. Hang on. 8q is equal to negative 10. That gives me q is equal to negative 1.25. Right, on to the second question. So we're given an equation here. It's a cubic. So this is slightly different than the one we did yesterday and quite a bit easier. So one solution of this is w equals negative 2, and we've got a missing coefficient. So p of negative 2 is going to be 0. So 3 times negative 8, let's just get rid of that, plus a times 4 plus 6 plus 10 equals 0. That gives me negative 24 plus 16 is equal to negative 4a. So negative 8 is equal to negative 4a. So a is equal to 2. Now that's the achieved mark there. Next thing we have to do is to find the other two solutions of the equation. So obviously there's always a few different ways to go here. I'm going to do this one with matching. I'm sure if there are people out there who'd rather do it with polynomial long division, that's up to you. All good. Yeah, so what have we got? Right, 3w cubed plus 2w squared minus 3w plus 10 is going to equal w plus 2, because we know that root, times, and now I'm going to match up. I must have 3w squared, and then I'm going to have some w term, so we'll call that k, and to match up on the plus 10, I've got to have a 5 here. Looking just at the 2w squared coefficient, 2w squared is coming from the 6w squared plus the kw squared. So the k in that quadratic must be negative 4. Right, so now we're good to go. We just need to go back to where we started and substitute in that k. Right, we've found this root, and now we've got to find the two roots from here. So 3w squared minus 4w plus 5 has to equal 0. With this one, I would do quadratic formula. I wouldn't do completing the square because I've got a 3 here, so it's kind of a bit painful. W, and yes, I know that you can chuck that in your graphics calculator and you can get the roots out, but you can't do that in the A-level exam, so we need to get the skill fluent. So let's go. We need to have W is equal to negative B, so 4 plus or minus the square root of B squared, 16, minus 4 times 3 times 5, divided by 6. So W is equal to 4 plus or minus the square root of negative 44 over 6, which is 4 plus or minus what am I doing here? Yeah, 44. Oh, sorry, guys. I was just going to remind you that the 44 is going to be 2 root 11 I, right, because we're dealing with the square root of negative 1 divided by 6. So that gives me 2/3 plus or minus 1/3, or root 11 over 3i. Now it's fine in this case to leave it as 2/3 plus or minus root 44 over 6. I guess I really don't like that because you can simplify the 44 and the 6, but you know, I think you'd probably get a tick for that. But yeah, hopefully all of you are confident with your simplifying surds. Okay, so that's the 2 answers for that one done. Now the next video I'm going to do is one from the A-level textbook, so I'm going to just pause on these questions first because I've had a request from Han for a different one. So I'll come back to these questions later on tonight or first thing in the morning.